is Yeah, I'm actually curious. I was expecting Ame. Is this a sub or did I miss out on a roster swap?
That's a good question, actually. 'Cause we
Or is
didn't,
that
yeah.
Ame with SCCC being repped? I'm mildly confused because sometimes lobbies break and it hasn't been really kind. I mean, SRF is still under Royal in his tag, so is that really SCCC? That's gonna bug me for the rest of the series.
Well, you best go find out then, John. I, I can't find out right now. I'm currently controlling the camera, so maybe just try and figure out who that is. It should be Arme, but you never know. These roster swaps do tend to happen pretty quickly in the Chinese region, and sometimes we're a bit slow to find out in the West, unfortunately. But I'm sure you'll figure it out very soon. I gotta say, it shouldn't be too much of a fun time for this Spectre, apart from maybe this disco ball right now and a soccer ball even. But up against the Necrophos, this isn't exactly the most fun lane you could have asked for.
Nah, it's most definitely not. Like, it's it's kind of a tricky lane, and look, they're actually playing with the soccer ball.
Well, you paid for this, John. You gotta play with.
We didn't see it last time. There you go, goal. Good shot. Amazing, outstanding plays.
Outstanding indeed. Well, there's the hot chili. Faith Beyond. Gonna start going over onto that Treant. Bit of a death pulse to fly out. Bit of early harassment. He's already actually gone through 2 tangos. So, 1 tango left for this Treant. Probably will have the living armor anyway if he really needs it. But they even Fisher block him in the tree line. He'll be alright though. He just walks his way out and... Well, back to what I was initially saying though. Like, Faith Beyond should have a really, really nice time up against the Spectre.
Yeah, it's not the easiest time for the Spec to kind of contest that. Like, you'd maybe be looking at level 3 for Fate Beyond to start being a lot harder to force out of lane. But even now, like, SCCC can't really go up into last hit too safe. Like, the moment he goes up, Fate Beyond's gonna be right-clicking him down. If you try to trade Fate Beyond, it's just gonna pop the Death Pulse, and he's suddenly back up healthy.
It is rough. It really is. Like, he's got the living armor there, which is going to help a bit, but how much is it going to help? Like, you can't just, continue to just spam this out over and over again, especially while Q's around. Like, at some point, you're going to have to heal yourself up on that tree. And looking over to the other lanes, though, for a second, we do have the mid lane, of course, XM, up against Nothing to Say. And overall, doesn't really feel like it favors either. So both sides will probably just trade farm in this mid lane. So there's not really much you can do on this quap, right? Like, usually you throw the Shadow Strike out, but it can be so easily dodged by the phase shift. I don't think XM should be running into too many issues on this puck.
Yeah, it's one of those matchups where it can be volatile. Like, there are some sweet power spikes here for both sides, but they both really have strong ways of shifting out and kind of playing away from that aggression. So probably the best way or the safest way to play it is just focus and farm. And in that sense, you are seeing Nothing to Say pull up just a bit more there.
It's standard stuff, though. It's quap, right? Attack animation's nice, base damage is nice. Everything's pretty nice in the Queen of Pain right now. Bot lane is arguably the most boring lane. SRF on the Underlord, going to be up against the Naga Siren from Cylon. What can you say about this lane, John? They're both going to hit creeps.
Yeah.
Nobody's killing each other here unless we have some supports rotating in. But they're currently busy contesting a pool here. James trying to be disruptive up against Wise Jakiro. But overall, like, SRF should survive and should just hit creeps on the Underlord and try to get as many denies as possible. And the Naga Siren will basically do the exact same thing.
Yeah, not much activity from both sides. Like, you can play aggressive with the Jack Naga, I suppose. I don't think you're really going to be looking for that from Naga. Like, she's just going to be farming up, no problem. In a farm trade, Sylar will definitely enjoy that a lot more. Like, a farm on Underlord's nice. It doesn't quite give you as much of a big boon as a farmed Naga very early. So even if SRF finds this farm, as long as Sylar's not slow down, you have no issues.
No, definitely not. Back up to the top lane, Q. I thought he may have tried going for a nice Fisher. He doesn't. Interestingly enough, Sin-Q is actually still sitting at that level 1 point. Yeah, is really giving a lot of XP over to Faith Beyond, but I don't actually mind this at all. I think Faith getting all that XP, if you find a really early level 6, then SCCC's, whoever it is, I believe it is still Arme, the Spectre is going to struggle quite a lot. So, at this rate, like, you keep giving those levels over to Faith, don't worry about your Earthshaker, he'll have Fissure. It's going to make it very, very hard on this Spectre to actually get anything done.
Yeah, it's I mean, you see him trying to get some farm now. 18-4 is not bad. It's most certainly better than Faith Beyond, but look how low you drop if you're not careful.
I mean, Faith is dropping fairly low now as well, though, and he doesn't actually have the Ghost Shroud. They could try and secure this as Faith. He needs help. Sin-Q does come in. A Sal from Faith will allow him to live. He has no mana for the Death Pulse, but a nice Fissure. But the Spectre Bag are going to come out, but no, the Death Pulse will be there in time. And now Victoria is the one in trouble on that Treant, but here comes the Spectre Faith. He was still trapped up, and they do find the First Blood. A very prolonged First Blood, but they do eventually get it. And of all heroes to go on, it is going to be on Arme.
Yeah, it's a nice little boon for CDEC. You did also waste the salve out very early on from Fate Beyond. Like, he turned it on, he only got maybe 1 or 2 ticks off because the Treant just got that range last hit to cancel off. So, rather unfortunate the Fissure didn't come out earlier. I think if it did, Fate Beyond would have healed up pretty much almost the full duration of that potion and just gotten a bit too much value. So, this does make the Spectre's lane a bit better. Like, you have certainly pulled ahead of this Necrophos now and gotten that EXP lead. You would want to see Sin-Q get some more EXP. Level 2 is not shabby now, but you want level 3 to have the Aftershock stun with the totem.
I mean, it'd be nice. Sin-Q will have the enchant totem for now anyway. Faith Beyond is going to hit that level 5 point, but still opts to not go for any points in Ghost Shroud, interestingly enough. And that's going to allow them to just really trade harass quite easily. Really wanting to just maximize the Death Pulse of all things.
I think that's fine. Like, it's a lot of damage out onto our spec. Like, you don't really have the best ways of blocking that damage very early on. The burst heal up option from the Ghost Shroud would be nice, but he hasn't really been threatened unless he overextends.
Oh, Dream Coil, mid lane, onto the Queen of Pain. She'll be alright though, as Sin-Q's going to be there, and now Y rotating in on the Jakiro, but he'll be underneath that tier 1 tower, so he may die here. Victoria trying to secure the kill, and eventually does get it. EHOME. A bit of an interesting position there from the Jakiro, just kind of coming through the tier 1 tower. He was lifted and thrown back, and well, ultimately, like, you got the Queen of Pain out, but I don't think she was going to die anyway.
Yeah, you are wasting the support's time here. So this is freeing up your Naga Siren down bot, who really is just kind of left alone, and you find that kill in the Spectre top. So you do get something out of those rotations. CDEC sacked their side lanes just for a bit, and that's enough for EHOME to find a little bit of a trade.
I don't think you can leave the Spectre alone when Faith hits level 6. James is already TP'd up now on the Rubik. You definitely cannot leave that Spectre alone at this point, because Faith Beyond will just abuse the living hell out of him.
Well, SRF is going at a steady pace towards his Hood of Defiance. I mean, it's nice, right? Like, your Underlord is going fine in farm. It's like, again, the impact of that is up in the air. You really just want to see earlier farm onto everyone else, although, top.
Yeah, they're going to try and go on to Y, and Y should be a very, very easy pick-off here on this Jakiro. He's trying to trade with Victoria. Whoa, Sonic Wave comes in, hitting all 3 of them. James also going to go down, it seems nothing to say, and does. It'll be a double on the Quap. And so you found the Jakiro, but you lose 2 in the process, and unfortunately for CDEC, that is going to leave the Spectre very vulnerable once again in that top lane.
Yeah, you don't want to be in this kind of situation right now for CDEC, and our spec will have to maybe play around that jungle. You won't really see the fastest push from EHOME. There are the living armor heals coming out, although at level 2, I suppose, the cooldowns are just a bit too long that it's not going to be up for that much longer, and again, you probably want to pull back if you're the Spectre right now.
No, they kind of have to, and yeah, he'll just Go into the tree line, just hide there for a while and hope for the best. That tier 1 tower, though, is going to be gone. And, well, you've got level 7 on Faith, and he's got that Reaper Scythe back up now, so you could definitely look to try and find another big kill across the map if you are Faith Beyond. Like, he may just focus on farm up at this top lane and try to go back after the Spectre once he does show his face. And in fact, that looks like what Faith Beyond is doing. He's actually going to pull the lane back in. And this isn't something we're too used to seeing from an offlaner who just found the tier 1 tower. But he's pulling the lane back in and just trying to drag the wave back towards his own tier 1 to really choke out the Spectre.
Yeah, and that makes it a lot harder for the Spec to farm up, or though finding a kill on Y is nice, it's not the biggest thing. So the wave is still going to shove in just a bit, and that does mean it's just a bit more dangerous staying there because you don't have a TP point anymore.
And he's going to find out the hard way that Faith is still around the area. Does get a level off it though, which is nice. So just soaks a bit of XP from that neutral camp. It's like Faith's had enough of this lane, or in fact, he's going to make a rotation down bot. Again, he does have the Reaper's Scythe, so I imagine he wants to get it back on cooldown if he can afford to. And now SRF. Now, this is the time where you probably don't want to do this. It is the 10-minute mark after all. They're going to go for a big team fight anyway. Xin-Q going to run out. Faith Beyond does join in, and XM, oh, he just came straight into them. Fisher not going to miss a great juke out from XM, but he should be dead. Sonic Wave is there. They secure the puck kill, and now the chase will begin. As SRF, he will Dark Rift. Can he get everyone out, though, in time? Looks like he will be able to. So it's not all bad, but you did lose that mid-puck. You lost a courier, and you lost bounty runes. In fact, quite a lot of them.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it could be for CDEC. At the same time, that was the first haunt we were getting out there. Not the best use of that first haunt. They couldn't even pick off the backline shaker. I believe that's what we did see happen. He was just chasing down Xin-Q, not enough damage to find that kill, and all the bounties coming out once more. 5 minutes to find those kills on EHOME. They have been pretty relentless in the aggression. They haven't really staved off too much, and all of that while still giving their Naga free space to farm. Like Sylar has basically not been punished for being all alone on the Naga Siren.
It's kind of like, how do you punish her though, right? Like, she's got the song up, you make the rotations in, but you don't really have the heroes to lock her down. It seems like if they even try to go after the Naga, it's just she's gonna pop song and TP out. I just don't actually know what they could possibly do to deal with her.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation for CDC. I'd say maybe some much more aggressive wards to just watch the enemy jungle instead would allow them to get those rotations in. If you get XM in with the silence, that does take a lot of the potency away from Naga, at least in terms of defensive skill use. So that's an option, but CDC looks to just want to trade farm. They're just giving their own spec some space to farm up, and they're going to be satisfied with that. Like, they are getting some decent farm to spec. It's not as good as the Naga, about 1k behind, but the Spectre can build up pretty quickly as well.
You've also gone for that very defensive build though on the Spectre, which means you're not really going to have damage. Not yet. Like, the damage is really going to be prolonged for a while, where EHOME just won't have that problem. And that was one of the things I was talking about at the drafting stage. Is I was very concerned as to whether CDEC could actually follow up on all the teamfight lockdown they have. The answer so far has been no. I understand why you go the Hood of Defiance on the Spectre in this kind of game up against the Quap Necrophos of all things. But it is going to mean that for at least the next 10 minutes or so, you're not really going to have that damage output. So I don't really know what you can do if you're CDEC. Like, you've got to play this passive farming game constantly, it seems.
Yeah, and that's really my issue with, like, the offlane Underlord. Like, SRF, he's doing a fantastic job in the Euro. His farm is up there. He's been applying decent enough laning pressure. It's just, what you can't really ask for that much more from an Underlord. Like, if you ask him to do damage, he can do a decent amount. It's not the best. It's not amazing. But they needed an offlaner that could do that, because your Spectre's not going to be there. Your puck is all about magic. And even then, XM start has been unideal. So one of these heroes needs to pick up that slack. And it's just not quite coming out.
Well, now, bot lane, James, going to be the target of a gank. Reaper Scythe committed in the Sonic Wave just to make sure they get the kill. It's not the biggest kill in the world, but it may open up that bot T1 tower now for EHOME to slowly start sieging away at. Or not even, they'll just leave it be, they don't care. They just want to find kills right now. I suppose they are dominating most of the map anyway, so it's not too big of a deal that they only found a Rubik there. And well, with the 3k net worth lead, they're going to rotate into the mid lane instead. A much more valuable tower, to say the least. But XM is going to be there with that new Veil of Discord, and that's going to be a one-man Dream Coil. It'll be broken straight away. Now the Pit of Malice, but he should be able to blink soon, though. No, the silence was long enough, so they do end up finding that Queen of Pain. It was 5 heroes worth of a rotation, but it's seemingly worthwhile if they find that Quap and stop that tier 1 push.
Yeah, I'd say that's most definitely worthwhile. And they do manage to punish just a bit of an overextension from EHOME. They're probably not going to be finding too much more. And you actually have Sylar ready to go now as well.
Yeah, I mean, he is sitting there with the Yasha Treads and the 3 Wraith Bands. He's not actually doing low damage right now. It's actually decently high. Looking to see if he can make a play. Of course, he has the song there just in case he needs to get out. You've got that Queen of Pain around as well. Nothing to say, he is, of course, back. And they are not dissuaded whatsoever. They realize after the Dream Coil being expended, they could force this tier 1 if they really want. And they're just going to keep at it. Even through the glyph, they don't care.
Yeah, they just want to force it in. They want control in that jungle. You saw Sylar farm around there for a very long time. They just want easier access to the spots where the Spectre would be playing, so they take away that farm opportunity. And
Dream Coil.
This is one way to get about it. Oh.
Being committed onto Sing Q. They still haven't taken him out. He's still living through this. He will eventually die, but that tier 1 tower is gone. And EHOME, I'm sure they'll be okay with that.
Oh, 100%. That's exactly what they want. Like, they got the distraction off. They take the tier 1 mid, so the top jungle's not going to be as safe. Ame up there should be a bit more cautious, or you need wards here for CDEC, because EHOME has been playing a lot in that area. So maybe it's time to switch out jungles. You could play in the bot jungle. No one's down there. No one from EHOME's even playing down there. That's probably your best bet right now for safe, stable farm, and you need it because you're slowly inching towards that Radiance. It's not going to be the fastest, but it's super important to get that up and running.
Yeah, that is for sure. And he is going to be a while off that Sacred Relic, but he's getting there slowly but surely. Meanwhile, though, you look to Faith Beyond, he's got the full Guardian Greaves up now. And so the amount of sustain you've got on this Necrophos is just shot up. And this is also that point where this Necrophos basically becomes unkillable as long as Ghost Shroud's available. Like, he's just going to Death Pulse Guardian Greaves and he's up to full HP. It's...
Yeah, nah, you're not going to be able to fully burst this guy down. Like, you could possibly with a puck. That's your best burst option, but the silence doesn't do too much if the Guardian Greaves are still up and running. So
why?
There's only so much you can expect there.
Trying to be disruptive up against that Spectre, but he will get punished for it. That does give a kill away to the Spectre. Now, this could be a little bit concerning doing that over and over again. Like, I realize he wants to try and scout out the Spectre and just, you know, soak XP off him as well. But this is gold that you're really helping him get, right? Because he's already a very, very slow kind of farmer anyway up until he gets the Radiance. So I'm not sure if you actually want to throw that +5 life away to that Spectre.
Nah, it is certainly feeding an income stream to CDEC, which you kind of were denying quite nicely, so you gotta watch out for that. I think EHOME has been surprisingly docile after that mid-tier 1, although they are starting to clump around that spec.
Yeah, Echo, just committed, just lock him down. Of course, he does have that hood, so he's not really taking much magic damage, and does actually commit the haunt into the mid lane, but nothing to say he's waiting, so he'll haunt back up towards the top lane, and does successfully juke them out. And a great play there from Ame. They are unable to do anything about it. Although, mid lane looks like there is going to be a jump onto XM, but again, it seems EHOME is lacking a bit of lockdown without that Earthshaker around, and well, XM now just happily committing a Dream Coil to try and secure this Jakiro kill, but you've got the Guardian Greaves there from Faith Beyond. Now, Y will turn around with an Ice Path. Who are they actually chasing? It's going to be James on the Rubik they want. And it'll just be a 1-for-1 trade on the supports.
Yeah, it's not the biggest trade-offs for either side. I think You are slightly happier as CDC, although Sylar,
Yeah, I mean, look, he's still got Song, right? He's going to be fine.
he's really starting to kick up in damage over that Manta style. Like just a couple of right clicks drag the tree down way low, not in position where you want to be. And this is the difference with EHOME's core and CDEC's core. The Naga can shoot up online much earlier, and oh,
It's going to be a smoke, although top lane looks like they have made the jump. Reaper's Scythe was committed. The Dark Rift will be coming in, and no, it'll be cancelled off. That Hood of Defiance saving the Spectre once again, although those illusions can hurt you quite a bit if you're not too careful. And that's a little win for CDEC, just allowing the Spectre to live, but can they make anything happen with this smoke? They don't have Horn. Now Sylar, his TP will be cancelled. He needs help. He does have Song, but the silence is going to be there. Now the root. He does get the Song off, but it's going to be too late with that overgrowth. It's just enough damage. And SRF was actually the one to pick up the kill with the Firestorm.
yeah. EHOME has kind of been reckless just a bit with the rotations, like not being able to find the kills on the Spectre does mean that, well, you're going to hit a good timing on that Radiance. It's going to be past 20 minutes, but all things considered, it's been a really hard time for our Spec. So you're still getting that timing. You're probably not going to be up and ready to go. Maybe you start waiting for a couple of items down your heroes. The diffusal on the Naga is going to pump up your damage so much more. I think you have to wait for that now, because it's not enough against the Spec, not quite enough. They have staggered out their control, although they do have the Blink and Sin Q. So maybe this is when EHOME actually does want to go. Like, they're ready to go under past 4.
Oh. See if they do make any plays. Sin Q with the Blink Dagger, wanting to definitely try and make something happen. And time is of the essence for EHOME. You've still got the Spectre whacking away those creeps. Just needs a recipe now. Has the Sacred Relic up. It's not like he's going to be overly hard to deal with that Radiance, but it's just the farm escalation that's the real concern afterwards. You find the Manta straight afterwards, and it's a much quicker process, and once the Manta's up, that's when things become very, very difficult. They do still have the counter in the Reaper's Scythe on Faith Beyond, but we've seen that Hood of Defiance really saving the day so many times with the Spectre already, and even SRF with the pipe, that's going to be very, very problematic in terms of being able to burst through that HP of the Spectre. And they are going to meet down to the bot lane. EHOME, they are waiting. They've got the Echo. They've got the Blink. They want to try and make this happen now. You are missing Faith Beyond. He's in the mid lane right now just farming up, but he'll slowly run his way down bot. But you may have missed the timing. In fact, CDEC, they show themselves. SRF going to be the first target, but he's not an easy one. There's that Dream Coil with the Macro Pie that was stolen by James. Del Fisher. Ice Path will not connect, however. And instead, they may have to just settle on Victoria on that Dream Protector. And nothing to say he's already kind of done that. So he'll take one kill, but that's just really showing some bad signs. For the side of EHOME, they just seemingly had no damage themselves.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for EHOME. CDEC's most definitely happy to just get these kinds of trades now, because you know your Spectre is becoming an issue, just by virtue of that farm we've been talking about. And
Ice Path.
they do try to push bot lane though.
Ice Path's been stolen. There's that Radiance coming up, and he does have Haunt if he wants to commit to a team fight, but Wire's already dead anyway. They may just try and turn this one around, CDEC. Ensnare, gonna be there on the Rubik. Now they jump in, but there's that Haunt. Sonic Wave does kill off James. Nothing to say, in a very awkward position though, as he did blink in, but the Reaper's Scythe, not enough to actually kill off XM. He'll be able to orb out of there. Meanwhile, Ame is still going at it with Sylar. He has kind of been left alone though, as he only has SRF, but here comes XM again, and now a Fisher being committed in the Echo, but they've got nothing. They have got nothing, John. They are just falling apart, EHOME. And XM will continue the chase on the CDEC side. Spectral Dagger will fly out, just chasing that Queen of Pain. It won't be enough to kill her, and nothing to say. We'll be able to get out, but CDEC just looking fantastic now.
Yeah, it's really starting to come together here for CDEC. That durability your lineup has is most certainly starting to be a big factor. that EHOME's not ready to fight up against. One thing that's causing them a lot of issues is the Reapers aren't finding the kills. Like, if they just burn down XM immediately, that might have been a different story. Instead, every single time we've seen the Reaper, it feels like it's not coordinated. They're not focusing on the target, which means the HP is not low enough to find that kill. And you're playing at the disadvantage because Necrophos without Reaper basically it's just a walking heal stick. You know, it's all about the heals. The damage isn't there. And EHOME is having a lot of trouble with finding that damage. So they need to wait for their Naga to still find that farm again. Sylar is still waiting for that defusal. Once you have the defusal up, the Naga can right-click a bit better. For now, with that Radiance on Ame, I think they're in a much better spot. They can really start to play around the haunt here.
I mean, they're looking amazing right now, CDEC. They've got that net worth advantage back as well. And this is that point where the Spectre doesn't really slow down and farm anymore. It's going to go up quite quickly, especially if you're catching off heroes on the side of EHOME, and Y is going to fall. There's one less hero to have to worry about on the map. And EHOME, they're kind of running out of answers. Like, this is not the kind of farm you expect from a Naga Siren at this stage of the game either. She's third in net worth. She's behind the Spectre. And I don't really see Sala being able to catch up at this point. It seems as though Ame is just going to be able to really just keep snowballing ahead. It's just a matter of what you do now.
Yeah, it's You are starting to reach that point where it is boiling down into a farm game, right? Like, you're starting to put your bet on the Naga up against the Spectre, and in all honesty, I think most people expect the Spectre to win out in that. It's just by nature. Spectre is one of those ultimate late-game heroes. So EHOME has to be really on the ball with the timing here. Once that defusal is up, we have to see them smoke up, maybe use the song offensively to set up for themselves instead, although looks like Sylar might be caught out here if he's not careful.
He'll kind of juke out of vision. They never really got a glimpse of him after that creep wave anyway. He got that Meteor Hammer now as well on Victoria, so he can just slowly start sieging away at towers on that tree. And I mean, right now it seems as though EHOME have kind of made the decision to play a bit of a farm game here up against Ame. They're going to kind of loop around here. Y, he does get daggered up, but in comes James, and yeah, they surround Y again. And it's just, I believe Y's intention here is to keep scouting out and creating space, but bot lane Sylar going to be in trouble. Dream Call's there with the silence. Can they get him down in time? The Meteor Hammer not going to land. There's that song coming out. Sylar, you have a TP. Waits for his team instead. Mui is waiting for his team. There's a dagger coming out. Nice Fisher block and a Sonic Wave as well, but they're just trying to run. They do not want to fight. Echo committed just on XM. They're trying to find this puck. A great Pit of Malice with the Overgrowth though. Sylar's going to die on that Naga Siren, and now you look to Faith Beyond. He's in huge trouble. He will die as well. And just a lot of indecision from EHOME. They just didn't know whether they want to TP the Naga out, whether they wanted to stick around. There was an Aether Lens on James, and you still had the Pit of Malice there from SRF, but I don't believe they would have been able to close the gap while that song was going anyway. So it just seems like indecision was happening there for the side of EHOME, and it just doesn't pay off.
It's really starting to hurt EHOME a ton. They're 6k behind. They also didn't drag all the heroes down for that. Like, Y was up top, he had no TP, it was on cooldown, so they need the macro power on top of all of that. And yeah, it's
Y again.
I mean, it's so weird to kind of be upset that the Jakiro is dying. Of course, it's a pause 5. But he is a lot of damage of EHOME. It's like, you toss out maybe the Scream, the Sonic Wave from the Queen of Pain. But what you're really maximizing with the setup and control here is a prolonged macro fire burn. Like, you get the fissure, you get the slam, you get the net off after the song. You are going to find those kills. It's just they're never able to line that up. And it's not the easiest thing to do. So CDEC has been abusing that with how easy their setup is. Root, Overgrowth, that's it. It's just so fast.
Oh,
There it is again.
Why? He's doing his job. Like, you can't be upset with the Jakiro. He is literally just doing his job, but it's going to get to the point where it's probably getting to him a little bit now. That's his 10th death of the game. He's currently 0 and 10 on the Jakiro, and RNG, or rather, excuse me, not RNG, CDEC are going to keep going towards that top tier 2 tower. And, of course, having the Dragon Scale and SRF does help a little bit. Faith?
Sylar? He songed and didn't TP immediately, but he still gets out.
Okay. Faith Beyond. Out in front, trying to find a target. Nothing to say now, jumping in as well. Peter Malice is going to be there from SRF, and here comes the Horn. Xingqiu, he's dropping very, very low. He has Echo in 3 seconds, but they don't have enough time to wait. Now they go in. A great Sonic Wave, but there's the Overgrowth onto Sylar. He doesn't have Song. In fact, it was Faith Beyond. He gets lifted up. Peter Malice, and he's been thrown back. He's just going to die. And they're still going. XM, he's not done. He wants more. Sylar is very, very low on the Naga Siren, and well, there's the GG.
Oh.
I don't think they could win anyway, John. Like, you look at Arme, he was very close to a heart soon. Like, they're just too far gone.
Yeah, the EHOME, a lot of timing issues there in this draft. CDEC, though, not to take away from them, they play